Alright guys, welcome to the channel. This is RTX Pinball, and today we're going to be doing a review of No Good Gofers. This is a Pat Lawler game, one of his last Williams Bally table. This is a 97 release, and after that he went on to do some Stearns, and he went actually to do a little bit of Jersey Jack. So if you look at some of his most historical games that you'd probably know off the top of your head, would be Addams Family, Twilight Zone. He started with Earthshaker, he did Whirlwind, Funhouse, lots of amazing tables. He's by far one of the most popular designers of all time. This table is basically flew under the radar, and I don't think a lot of people even really know about it. So this is one we're going to go over today. It's a Zen release, and I think it's a really good table. We're going to go over everything about the table that we can think of. I'll show you a little bit of the shots, and we'll play it a little bit, and then I'll apply a rating to it. As you know, if you know Pat Lawler's more recent work, he did Dialed In, Willy Wonka, and Toy Story. So those haven't really resonated as much as obviously his older tables, but this table kind of snuck up on some people, and I think it's a really good table. So first of all, we're going to look at, go around the table a little bit and just kind of look at the table. You'll notice here, there's some really cool things that they did here to make things alive, and I think they really did a nice job of it. A couple things I don't like, however, is these lamps. You see these got these three lamps here, and all of these create a spotlight across this upper level acrylic, which kind of lays out for the driving range, the hole-in-one, and of course the golf cart. You'll notice they actually have some scratches in the acrylic, which is actually a really cool effect because you're going to definitely see that in the real table. But these lights actually do a real poor job of representing that. You really can't see down underneath quite as well as I wish you could. But otherwise, it's a really cool effect across the table. This table is only at 1260p, so it's not a full 4K by any stretch. Most of the more recent tables have been at 1260p as opposed to 1440. I assume that's probably to maintain 60 FPS, we figure. But there's nothing about this table that looks ridiculously bad by any stretch. One thing I will say is we can turn on the special effects, just to kind of show you what that looks like. You only gain a couple things here. You gain the golfer. It actually covers up the white bumper, which can be problematic during gameplay. He doesn't add a lot to the gameplay. He gets quite angry and throws his club. He breaks it over his knee. And then you got some stuff over here. You got some rockets and stuff which actually go off during multi-ball, which can be really distracting. You do have a little bit of a change in the flipper color, and there's a bucket of balls that gets dumped in this lower corner, which is kind of a cool feature. Looks like the Gophers have been saving them. So there's some cool stuff there, but really not a lot to add to the gameplay by any stretch. It's certainly not a distracting, very distracting, like something like a Party Zone that's got something in the middle, or even the golf club that you see in Addams Family, where it actually swings and actually holds up your ability to plunge the ball and stuff like that. Nothing like that. But first off, I want to look at this table. One of the things that I found very interesting right off the bat is the POV. I know Ray Delatorre has made a lot of comments about the POVs not being necessarily good on a lot of these tables. Well, I think they did a really good job on this one. So what I'm going to show you, this is from the Nintendo Switch. And I'm going to pull this up to the camera here, and you'll notice this is the camera straight on. And you notice this spinner here is a perfect circle. That's what it would look like from a traditional top-down perspective on a cabinet view. But you'll notice what we're looking at here is not a perfect circle. So what they did is they actually adjusted the POV on this quite a bit. So look here, they go to about a level 3, and you'll notice that the spinners all of a sudden look the same. Well, that change actually allowed for a lot better look at the table, and you'll notice that the Gophers are much more visible when they're in the up position during gameplay. And I think it really made a really nice change for this table. So really good on them to make a change for that. I think ultimately, I think that's going to be really good for gameplay. It really helps the feel of the table. It does kind of give the illusion that the table's kind of dropping away as you look further away. Now, I will say, if you come to the side of the table and you're looking at it in this direction, it looks really stupid because this is really scrunched, and obviously the perspective is not at all what you'd expect. for somebody coming from the side. But when you're standing in front of this thing, it absolutely looks fantastic. So, No Good Gofers. Let's talk about the table a little bit, how it looks. There is some stuff going on here where they actually do a little bit of light bleed here to try to make sure that you can actually see what's going on here. They do some, this is really smart stuff actually. They're making sure that you're seeing stuff that needs to be seen, whereas some of the Magic Pixel tables, you'll notice that sometimes they have very important things that are just completely covered up by the cabinet mode. That is not done in Zen. They actually have taken the time to look over the table and really see those types of things. So, No Good Gofers. This is a traditional 3 flipper table. You've got 2 flippers down here and a flipper up here, which does a really awesome cross shot. Very common for a Pat Lawler table. Obviously, Whirlwind's a 3 flipper. You have Twilight Zone, which actually has a 4th flipper up here, but it's basically a 3 flipper layout. Adam's Family is a 3 flipper layout with the addition of additional flipper over here. But traditionally, his tables are very similar to Thomas Croft's, who's another Zen, who's a Zen designer who did Garfield, Godzilla vs. Kong, My Little Pony, and again, those are all basically 3 flipper layouts. So very good distinction of what we're looking at here. But No Good Gofers, this is a really good table. It's got some really cool callouts. So we'll turn this thing up, we'll give it a couple of gameplays, and then I'll show you a little bit of a tutorial at the end. We'll go over the basics of gameplay. I'm not going to go through all 16 of the awards. That's usually the stuff that people get hung up on, and they just get confused and get lost in the rule set. The game's a lot easier than they think. You will notice some pretty heavy physics, so we're going to go through those and see what you guys think. Start off, there's a couple different plunges you can do. There's a skill shot right here. You'll see skill shot right to these drop targets. Very similar to like a Circus Voltaire kind of a thing where it just kind of comes up, hits the targets just directly. The other one is a full plunge that goes all the way through, comes all the way down. There's a actuating ramp right here that is very difficult to see, whether it's up or down or not, but you'll see it during gameplay pretty easily and it becomes pretty intuitive. If the ball goes through this blue ramp system on the left and comes over this rollover, that ramp is going to drop and it's going to allow for a shot all the way up here to the upper playfield. The upper playfield is not, there's no flippers up here, so it's just a straight on shot, and if it makes it, it makes it. Anything to the golf cart will score points for all the drive lanes, and anything in the hole-in-one completes the hole and you get bonus points for that. Any shot that ends up in here and kind of goes and loops around, that's considered the driving range, so you'll see that during gameplay. And so initially, back to the skill shot. This is one skill shot. The other skill shot is to go all the way around. You're going to get one shot to go all the way up and hopefully hit that ball directly into this square hole here. This red part is actually a little bit of a ramp. There's a ramp on that that'll scoop that right in there. Very difficult shot. It is how you do your super jackpots during multi-ball. So very difficult shot to do. Also in multi-ball, your crossing shots are your jackpots. You'll see there's a light there with the arrow that says jackpot. So big scoring right there, right across during multi-ball. So when you do get into multi-ball, you'll see me trying to do crossing shots and not worry so much about the ball down here necessarily. Or I may even hold a ball, if possible, on the left side and try to do crossing shots to be able to hit those shots. Then the super jackpot is to come down and go all the way up. So very difficult shot. So the purpose of the table is to complete all 9 holes and get to the wizard mode. You start out with 7 strokes per ball, and you're going to do one of 6 driving lanes to be able to lower that shot total for each hole. There's a drive lane here, there's a drive lane here at the capture ball, there's one at the crossing shot, you have one lane here, and the orbit. All 6 of those are considered drives. All of those shots contribute to either 100,000 points or 250,000 points, and if you hit the golf cart at any time, it collects all those points. Then you hit the hole out button, or putt out right here. There's a scoop that will complete the hole, regardless of whatever shots you're on. So obviously, the lower the number, the bigger the points for the hole, and you complete the hole. Alright, that's the premise of the game. This is all extras, and you don't need to necessarily know any of that stuff until it happens. The only other thing that's going to happen during the progression of the game is at the 7th hole, you're going to have something called power outage and buzz, one of the gophers is going to be chewing on the wires, and there'll be an opportunity where the ball will come out here and you'll have to hit the kick target and then hit the gopher to finish the basically 7th inning stretch kind of a thing. So it's a little bit of a bonus mode. And then of course if you can complete all 9 holes, then you start the wizard mode where everything becomes active: super jets, bumpers, ramps, lanes, the whole bit. So anyway, let's get into gameplay. I'll show you a little bit of kind of how it looks, and let's rock and roll. Sorry it took so long to get to that, but there's a lot to talk about in this game. This one here, I can actually let the ball die. It actually gives me a full second shot. And you can see how that ramp actually actuates down. Sound effects is really, really good on this table. Here, we'll start over. This here actually makes a really good vibration sound and a spinning sound, but it's not annoying enough that it's going to be anywhere near the Captain Bizarre Party Zone. Nothing like that. So don't think that that's going to bother you. And you'll see how that, if you hit this, the ramp actually rotates down, you can actually shoot it up. And when it piles up, you can shoot right underneath this thing, just like that. There's the gopher, it popped up. And then you can lock a ball, which I missed. Missed it again, and lost the ball. These gophers are very much like teed off, the Gottlieb tables, where they make fun of you and give you a hard time. I think they do an awesome job of that, quite frankly. Apparently, in the real table, you can actually adjust their rudeness factor, which is quite funny. There you go. You can see that shot went all the way up to the 18th hole, and I actually hit the flag, but I didn't go in the hole. So now I can actually go putt out, even though I'm only on 6 strokes. That completes the hole. I got 5 strokes because I had one more shot. And now I'm actually kind of in a mode where I'm going to hit the gophers for additional points. You see there, it's kind of a whack-a-mole type of thing. And very difficult shots because they go right straight down the middle. So you gotta be really careful. But really, really fun. All kinds of millions to be had. And it's a pretty quick mode, as you've seen there. But I got quite a few millions on that. This is the crossing shot, and you can go right up the ramp. See there? That's a driving range shot. Because I missed the golf cart and I missed the hole in one. So, I'm not going to worry about my score necessarily, but I want to show you the table. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I'll be quiet for a little bit and let you just enjoy the table, and we'll go from there. Quick game for sure. But again, we're not playing for score obviously during this. Alright, let's start it up again. Oh, come on. Luckily I get another shot on the first ball. that's a tough shot. So you will see during the gameplay, there is some really tough shots and things that are going to be very difficult. There's this capture hole in the front. There's a couple of posts that can be down or up depending on what you're looking at. The heaviness of the ball actually does make it quite difficult, especially during multi-ball when you have 3 balls and you're trying to keep everything in front of you. So it can be a very difficult table, but it is incredibly rewarding, and it has a kind of a one more game type of feel to it that is second to none, man. I don't think you ever feel like it's unfair or cheap, like a Party Zone where you had some really bad drains. You just don't get those. Samurai's Vengeance was notorious for having some really bad drains and not giving you kickbacks and things like that made the game more difficult than it needed to be. This game is incredibly forgiving. You can get a lot of extra balls on this table to keep you playing. This game was really a surprise to me, and one that I've come to really, really like. The funny thing is, I think I've played this game many, many, many times on Nintendo Switch and other medias on Steam and other things like that, and I've never appreciated it as much as I do on the 4KP. Something about having the tangibility of the sound effects kit going on and being able to feel the flippers really make this game way better than it would have been on any other format. So in short, if you were to buy this game, I think it is an absolute steal of a game. I would rate this game an absolute 9. It is by far one of the best tables. I'm shocked that this one doesn't get more love, being a Pat Lawler table. I personally like this one better than Addams Family or Twilight Zone. I think those are both fantastic games, but this one really speaks to me. It's got some really cool call-outs and just some really fun stuff, really fun elements to it. The change in POV makes this table a lot more playable, and it looks really good. My only downside is these lamps really take away a little bit. If you look at some of the Pinball FX releases, and even on Nintendo Switch, they just do not show the lamps like that. They're just not near as bright, and I don't know. It's just something that I found to be more distracting than helpful, but I give this table a 9, and for the value proposition, this is a $5 game, folks. If you're getting Zen tables for $5 in the 4KP, it's an absolute steal. Even if you don't like golf, I'm not necessarily a huge golf fan. This one's really, really fun, and I think most people would really enjoy it. So definitely check it out if you have a 4KP. And remember, you only need one ball for greatness. We'll see you next time.